Are you still getting clapped by the raid bosses and getting your ass handed to you in the final boss fight? I'll show you a couple of tricks to make normal mode feel like entry mode. This is basically a part 2 to my Tombs of Amascut guide, which was designed to get you through entry mode. If you still haven't completed the raid in entry mode, I suggest you watch that video first. I'll link it in the top right. For the gear, I've made quite a few changes. For starters, I went all out on my melee gear, going with bandos, prims, a berserk ring, and most importantly, the dragon claws. I swear to god, the claws made the raid twice as easy for me. If you don't have them, swap them out for a DDS. For the main hand weapon, I switched from the tentacle whip to a Zamihasta, as I really feel that Baba is weak to stab. In the inventory, I bring a 4-way mage and ranged switch. Note that I have the same 4 item slots for all my switches: weapons, amulets, body armors, and capes. This makes swapping easier as your inventory doesn't move around as much. I also bring the Charis Partisan for Kephri and my Book of the Dead and a rune pouch with runes to summon the thralls. I used to bring blood and ice barrages, which were very nice for Baba and Zebak's puzzle rooms, but because my gear is kind of low budget, I feel I get more out of the thralls because of the long fight durations. For supplies, I'm running a super combat and a bastion potion, 6 restores and 8 brews. These are the invocations I'm currently running to get to 150 points. Softcore run. I would run hardcore, but I can be asked spending the 500k if I were to die. Walk for it. 40 minutes should be more than enough time if you know what you're doing. On a diet, for the easiest 20 points of my life now that it's fixed. Lively larva, it does next to nothing. Aerial assault is really simple to dodge in Kephri's room, and we'll just choose the warden that summons Baba to not get wrecked in the final fight. The 3 blood magic invocations for Zebak, super easy to dodge and it barely does anything. Feeling special, I thought this was gonna be a troublesome invocation, especially for Simon Says, but it really feels quite nice when you get it down. Jungle Japes for a free quick 5 points, just don't walk in the bananas. Boulder Dash, I'm currently using Dragon Darts in my blowpipe, and with Rigoron I one-shot the boulders, so it's pretty easy. Ancient Haste, which makes the Wardens charge faster, but the UFO attack is dead easy to dodge. And finally, Overclocked, which makes the Warden in the final phase hit faster. I'll now go over some things I've started doing, which made the rooms 10 times easier. The rotation I'm running with now is Baba, then Zebak, then Akkha, and finally Kephri. I do Baba first, so I can pre-pot for the puzzle room. If you're quick enough, you can even pre-pot an anti-venom and swap out the Serp Helm for something else. If you're gonna do that, you'll want to replace a restore for a Sanifuse serum for the other poison effects in the raid. Baba. The fight always starts off with melee baboons, which you want to kill with magic, then ranged baboons, which you want to kill with melee, and the third wave always has mage baboons, which you want to kill with ranged. So keep that in mind for your gear switches when you're in between waves. If you have good gear and you aren't bringing thralls, using Blood Barrage in the puzzle room to heal off the melee baboons, plus the thralls at the shaman spawn, will save you up to a full brew. For Baba himself, I start out the fight with 2 claw specs. The Zamihasta is a massive upgrade from the whip here, I feel. Of course, if you have the rapier or the new fang, use those instead. One more thing I've noticed is that you really want to run away diagonally from the shockwave attack if you weren't doing this already. This seems to make you get away faster and you're much less likely to get hit. For the fast boulders, I've now loaded up my blowpipe with Dragon Darts so I can one-hit them if I have Rigor on. If you complete the boulder phase fast enough and you reach Baba at the top, you can actually attack him and skip a part of this phase. Zebak. For the puzzle room, all I can say is, patience is a virtue. In entry mode, I was YOLOing through the agility obstacles, but you really want to save all the supplies you can, so try not to take any damage. Be patient and be accurate with your clicks. If you're bringing ancient magics, it's a good idea to use Ice Barrage to freeze the crocs, and then Blood Barrage to get some health back. For the fight with Zebak himself, I now start out with 2 claw specs before switching to my range gear. The blowpipe feels very lackluster here, but it's all I could afford. If you have more cash, upgrade to an ACB with Ruby Dragon Bolts, a Bofa or a Twisted Bow. I got into the habit of always switching back to protect from magic after I tanked the ranged hit, to make sure I never get hit by his life-stealing magic attack, which comes in between his regular hits. I also sometimes kill one of the jugs before the waves spawn to give me some more room to maneuver around, which makes dodging the waves much easier. I also finally discovered that you can move the jugs around diagonally, which comes in very handy, and if the jug makes contact with the rock, it immediately breaks. Now, after killing Zebak and Baba, you'll get your first supply drop. Listen up, cause this is very important. Ambrosias and adrenaline potions are overpowered, so you'll pretty much always want to pick power. 1 dose of ambrosia will restore almost as much health and prayer as a full brew and restore instantly, making it super useful to save up a few of these for the final boss encounter. I also try to get 4 doses of adrenaline potion in the supply drops, making me able to get full use out of the claws. 1 dose for Akkha, 1 dose for Kephri, and 2 doses for the Wardens. Akkha. I finally went ahead and stored a D-pick here, which is super nice as it one-shots the barriers and does a ton more damage to the seal. I also started doing the puzzle room backwards, only placing the final mirror in front of the statue at the very end. So there's not a constant stream of light beams shooting through the entire room all the time. This will save you from getting hit a couple of times. For Akkha himself, I start the fight in my mage gear and I kite him around until he switches attack styles, so I don't take any damage. You get your run energy restored once you enter the room, so you'll always have plenty of run. I also finally found out that he keeps rotating through prayers and attack styles in the same cycle, even if you have the Stay Vigilant invocation on. I just keep an eye on his prayers, and when he switches prayers, I'll switch my protection prayer 1 to the left. If he was meleeing, he'll start ranging. If he was ranging, he'll mage next, and if he is maging, he'll switch to melee. I have the invocation on, which makes Simon Says faster. Make sure you get ready to click as soon as you see the explosion. Sometimes, if the worlds are lagging, you even have to click to move before the explosion even hits. Once he's about to get to 0 HP, I get ready to switch to my melee gear with claws so I can have an adrenaline potion to spec him out. Usually he's dead within 4 specs, saving me from taking a ton of damage from the balls. I also still do the diagonal running thing while speccing him, as I really still feel this helps avoiding the projectiles. And finally, I do Kephri. There's some resources available now to make some of the puzzle rooms easier. For example, this chart for the lightbox puzzle and this chart for the counting puzzle. I'll put these in the description of the video for you to download. For the boss, I've now started using Stab with my Charis Partisan, which seems to be a lot more effective than Crush, which I was previously using. I'm still hoping to get one of those jewels to upgrade my Charis. I also usually have a sip of adrenaline here, so I can get 4 claw specs in during the fight, which basically makes me able to skip over an entire phase. In solos, I usually camp right next to the first line of dung. When she shoots out the next pile of poop, you can get it to lay right next to the previous pile, giving you all the room you need. For the second supply drop, I also usually go for power now, picking up some more ambrosias and adrenaline potions. I usually still have plenty of brews and restores to last most of the fight, making me only need the emergency ambrosias. For the final boss fight, I actually, unlike many other people, start off with speccing the obelisk. I know a lot of people are using their specs on the core in the next phase, which seems to be like a great idea, but I really want to have full special attack energy for the final madness phase, so I use mine right now. Then I finish it off with my Hasta. I always block the path to Timokon for a bit so Elidnis will spawn, because she has the easier final fight with Zebak and Baba spawning. Elidnis also doesn't walk up to you to use her melee attack, which is super nice. When Elidnis is about to spawn, switch to your mage gear, and I like hitting her from this corner. I still have a hard time dodging the electricity, and in the corner you won't get hit by that nearly as often. Also, when the lines start coming out of the floor, the corner is actually safe to stand in. For the windmill attack, if you stand on the edge of his previous attack and you time your click perfectly, you can still dodge it, even though you're at its widest part in the corner. When he's about to go down, I get ready to switch to my melee gear to hit the core. I don't have special attack energy here, so it pretty much always takes me 3 phases to get the first Warden down. When she gets back up, switch to your range gear and do it all over again. The Wardens always alternate between having to be killed with magic and ranged. When you're done killing the first Warden, heal up to full health and switch to your range gear. His floor sweeping attack always starts to the left of you, so start the fight on the right side of the arena. You always have to move from the right, to the left, to the center, over and over again. Because we have Tumekun as our final Warden here, he will summon Zebak, which is a lot better than Akkha because his attacks are telegraphed, giving you plenty of time to switch prayers. He also summons Baba instead of Kephri, so we won't get absolutely shredded by having Kephri's aerial assault invocation on. I feel like this entire section of the fight is really easy once you've gotten a bit of practice and you shouldn't be using any brews. For the final part of the fight, where he starts destroying the room and shooting lightning bolts, you really need to have some great DPS here. I was at first doing it with my blowpipe and sometimes I just couldn't get him down in time, eventually giving me only one row of tiles to work with and getting clapped. But now with the claws, ambrosias and adrenalines, it's super easy. When he gets into his final phase, I quickly switch to my full melee gear with claws, have a sip of adrenaline potion and claw him out. If I happen to get low on health, I usually have about 4 emergency ambrosias left, so I can pretty much face tank everything here. After dumping the 4 claw specs, I usually have to hit him 2 or 3 more times with a Hasta to finish him off. Super easy. I reckon that if you have 8 DDS specs here, you'll also shred through him, but I feel like the claws are a lot better at Baba and Akkha. If you want to, you can of course bring both the claws and the DDS. And that's basically it. After implementing these optimizations, I pretty much never fail a normal raid anymore. I've noticed that only 6.3% of people watching my videos are subscribed, so if you like the content, don't forget to bless me with your subscription. It's completely free and you can unsubscribe at any time. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.